Welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle Podcast, where we dive into inspiring stories, thrilling adventures, and expert insights from leaders and legends across the outdoor adventure community. Whether you're an avid hiker, passionate camper, or adventure traveler, each episode brings you up close and personal with guests who've lived it, explored it, and made it their mission to share their experiences with you. Let's get after it. Welcome to another Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle episode. Today I'm speaking with Seth Quig. Seth is a seasoned outdoor professional with over 2 decades of experience in outdoor education and international adventure travel. Welcome to the show, Seth.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to be chatting with you. What's going on there in Crested Butte today? Is it nice?
It is nice. It's kind of off season. I think the mass of tourists have left, and I left in June or early July, and it was green and flowery, and now it's brown, and we're anticipating the changing of the season. So we have a big festival here coming up called Vinotok. It's
Cool.
kind of a pagan festival.
Any colors changing yet? A little early.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's starting to brown. The ground flora is starting to get a little bit of color, orange and yellows in there, and then the aspens. There's like some of the aspen trees are starting to turn.
Nice, yeah. I bet that's beautiful. So, what first drew you to the outdoors and adventure?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up in North Carolina, and I went to university at Appalachian State University, and I fell in love with the mountains and all that it had to offer, from rivers and
So you didn't do any of that stuff? None of that as a kid?
None of that as a kid.
Wow, okay, interesting.
Well, an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so immediately got into that world and me and my mother took me out. She was writing a book at the time and took me out to Montana. And I remember we were driving through Glacier Park and I saw these people on the side of the road with backpacks. And I was like, where did those people come from?
Right.
I feel like I need to get out there. And so that was the pivotal point. And then, started guiding Whitewater in college in North Carolina. And then I would go out to California in the summers and guide.
Where'd you guide in California?
On the Kern River.
Oh, so did I.
You did too?
Yeah. I guided on the
kidding.
Kern. I was one of the guys that helped start Mountain River Adventures.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was probably
with Stallone.
John Stallone. Yep. Mike Lane, John Stallone, and I. John was the mountain bike guy. Mike was kind of the river guy. He was the main guy that I worked for.
Incredible.
And then, they looked at me and said, hey, you worked in retail before. Get some retail stuff in here. So John's done a great job keeping it going, man. Good on you, John.
He has. I'm really tight with him. He just sent me an Instagram message here like this week.
Oh, cool.
So I did my internship in college with John.
Okay, cool.
And so I was like a mountain bike guide. I was a river guide. I facilitated these kid camps.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. He was a great mentor. I learned a lot from Mad Dog.
Mad Dog, that's right. Yeah. He's a hell of a businessman, and he's done a great job building that business. And also, I think what he does well is he's involved in the community in Kernville. It's a little tiny town, but he's involved in all the stuff. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Wow, what a small world.
So that was kind of the beginning of my whitewater career, and then. Yeah, I fell in love with it. And let's see, after that, I started to work for the National Outdoor Leadership School. Mm-hmm. And so I was teaching with them. I taught for them for roughly 13 years on the river program and in the mountain program and down in Baja. But it was one of the lucky ones. I got to travel all over the world. And that really got me into experiential education and expeditionary learning, right? And how we learn what the metaphors that brings. And so while I was working with Knowles, I also worked with a company out of London called World Challenge Expeditions. And so I ran the training department in Australia and New Zealand for a couple years and would put my schedule. I would create the schedule in between Knowles and World Challenge. And so I didn't pay rent for like 10 years. I was just all over and I was in my 20s.
Crashing in guide houses all around the world.
Absolutely. Dirtbagging, hard, man.
The best. Wow. Yeah.
Had a truck in Idaho and some boats and some.
Isn't that a great way to live, though? Oh my God, I
Man,
remember
it's
those days.
incredible.
Yeah, so much fun.
I was speaking at a conference, a sustainable tourism development conference last fall, and used expeditioning as the metaphor for life. You know, when you're on
Hmm.
expedition, you have everything you could possibly need. You have your shelter, you have your food, your water, you have your community, you have
Hmm.
an objective, right?
Hmm.
And so, what more do we really need in life that
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
on these expeditions?
that's very cool. Right on. That's awesome. So, do you remember your very first big expedition?
Let's
Like a
see. I went on a sea kayaking trip in the Everglades
wow.
when I was in college,
Hmm.
also,
Hmm.
and that was phenomenal. We were with crocodiles and alligators and all types of birds, and yes, study. We had some like little assignments to do and things like that. That was with the outdoor programs.
Hmm.
That was probably one of the first extended outdoor
Multi-day, multi-month. Yeah,
multi-day
yeah,
trips.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, it was
Pretty,
incredible.
pretty fun stuff. Yeah. How many days was it?
I want to say it was like it was 7 to 10 days, somewhere
Okay.
in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Nice.
I remember specifically somebody was paddling through like a little shallow and hit or like ran over what they thought was an alligator, felt the brrrr. And I don't know if that was true or a farce, but that sticks out.
That was one of those stories that the guides make up.
Yeah, could be too.
You know those
But
stories.
yeah, but that's, I mean, it all started in at App State. You know, we
Hmm.
had a great outdoor programs, a lot of access to the mountains and to the rivers and to all of Western North Carolina. And so spent the better part of, you know, 3 to 4 years running around Western North Carolina and then in California. So we would go, me and a couple buddies would go out to California every summer. We did that for like 4 years,
Wow.
I want to say, and did it after also.
Hmm.
And then I moved up to Montana, and then it all just started flowing,
Hmm.
you
Hmm. Good
know.
for you, man. Awesome. I always had dreams of doing that, but I kept going back to this teaching job and never, I'd teach in the winters and guide in the summers. And it was great, don't get me wrong. And I got to guide in some pretty cool places, but didn't get the life like you had. It was pretty fun. But I got on some great trips, that's for sure. I
Yeah,
highly
cool.
recommend it to anybody. If you're about to graduate high school, about to graduate college, go be a river guide for at least one summer. It will change your
Yeah.
life, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, I've luckily since then guided all over the world. I just got off a river trip on the Zanskar River, which
Mm-hmm.
my company we just ran, and
Cool.
highly adventurous. And I could tell you about that in a little bit, but yeah, it was a wild one.
Wow. Been on a couple of those too, yeah. So
Yeah.
14 expeditions in the Himalayas, 13 in the Andes, multi-ascents on Kilimanjaro. That's an incredible resume. What stands out as the most challenging expedition you've ever guided? Have you had something where it's like, oof, that one was something?
Yeah, usually I like to break it down between like subjective and objective. So I owned a large travel company for many years and would go on expeditions
Hmm.
just to feel the product and make sure that everything was going right. And with that company, it was very much a commercial company. And I'm a firm believer that the first day and the orientation and expectation meeting is the most important
Critical.
aspect
Yeah,
of
critical.
the expedition.
Yeah.
But having challenging guests has been a thing.
Yeah, I can relate to
Very
that.
much. I can remember one guest in particular who was taking some kind of like testosterone or something, and
Ooh.
this was on the Inca Trail, and he was like throwing fits and beating on ruins, and luckily I
Wow.
had another USA person with us, so I could stick him on him, and
Hmm.
but that stands out as pretty challenging. It was like we're gonna have to evac you,
Hmm.
if you don't get your behavior right. So the
Yeah,
behavioral
right.
piece and the subjective aspect is one thing. And I've had students run away before and
Wow.
And then, yeah, I've had all types of stuff. Usually with students, it can be a little more tricky
Hmm.
just because they're at the ripe age for unpredictability and their
Right,
emotions
right.
are all over. But with adults, it's usually pretty good. Like the adults are there, they want to have a good time. They're usually pretty educated. They want to learn about the place. They want a challenge. They don't want to suffer fest, but they want a
Hmm.
challenge.
Hmm.
So most of them go well. Like I can happily say I don't have any like crazy epics where somebody broke a leg and was crawling
Oh,
through a
that's good. Yeah,
crevasse.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think like planning is everything. And
yeah. Planning, I think your skill set and your team skill set, I think,
absolutely.
yeah. And I think adults, they generally get it, but sometimes if you do have an issue with an adult, it seems like it's tougher. We had a woman on the current, lower current, 2-day trip on the lower current, and she wouldn't eat or drink because she didn't want to go to use the bathroom. And, that creates problems and dehydration problems, which we had to monitor. And, sometimes when they're done, but we couldn't, she just was adamant. She says, no, I don't want to go in those. And they were clean, nice porta potties. It's like, come on. So I think
Right.
sometimes with adults, they're tougher, aren't they?
They can be, absolutely. But people have these weird little nuances,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
some people want to take certain medications to prevent them from having,
Yep. Hmm.
something. And so
Hmm.
again, that's where that orientation meeting and the
Hmm.
expectations really hit home
Yeah.
of like self-care. And here's what I expect of, how you use the toilet, how often
Yep.
you should be using the toilet, how you take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
What does
Right.
self-care look like? How you communicate openly, how are you organized? So really setting the guests or the student groups up for success.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it can really, you know, change a trip.
It can, and I've had weather come in, and so objectively, weather comes in, that's always can be a factor. We always want to be cognizant of objective risk and hazard
Hmm.
out
Hmm.
there. This river trip we were just on in Ladakh on the Zanskar, there was a road, they're building a road from Leh to Padam,
Hmm.
which is the capital of Zanskar. And so because of that, there were 10 new rapids.
Wow.
And so we're like eddied out, and their bulldozers are dropping boulders right
Oh my
in
God.
the line, and we're like, dude, you gotta stop. We're coming through here.
Just let us get past it.
That's right. And
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, with proper communication, understanding risk management, and planning, like that's how you avoid
Yep.
how I've been able to
And
avoid
communication. Yep. You're right. Yep. Yep.
huge amount of daily of check-ins,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
making sure everybody's on the same page and feeling okay, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just being real transparent.
Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. So you've got many legendary rivers too, like the Zambezi and the Colorado and the Salmon. What makes river guiding such a unique skill compared to mountain expeditions?
Wonderful question. And I had this with my last clients on the Zanskar because they had been on 4 mountain trips with me,
Oh, okay.
and they were like, "Wow!" And I talked them into coming on the Zanskar, and they're like, "Wow, it's kind of like it's very different than mountain. Like
Hmm.
you got to make moves immediately.
Your head's got to be on a swivel, man.
You got to be on a swivel." Exactly. Where in the mountains you can kind of
Yeah.
sit down and like think about it.
Uh-huh. Or you'd
If
be
all,
walking, the pace is a little slower sometimes. You can
totally.
look
Yep.
around.
You can
River,
go
man,
slower.
it is moving.
And this river was massive. I mean, it was probably 40 to 50K CFS,
Wow.
and it was all
Wow.
flooded. They said, my guides there they've run that river more than any people on the planet.
Uh-huh.
And they were
Uh-huh.
like, we've never seen it this high.
Wow.
The glaciers are melting fast, and
Oh,
that's where it
man.
all comes from.
It's a bummer. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a thing, right? You have to be able to react. You need to be proactive, and then you need to be able to react
Hmm.
fast.
Hmm. Yeah.
So having that competency and that skill set is
Hmm.
imperative.
Hmm.
Knowing how to read water, knowing how to communicate with your guests that are in your paddle boat,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then knowing how to communicate with the other boats and
Yeah.
say,
The
all
team.
right,
Right. Mhm.
how are we as a pod of boats going to communicate going down this river?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's well said. Yeah. So you've also led thousands of participants. What's your approach to helping people push past that fear or doubt in a wild, unfamiliar environment? Or like you get to the river's way up. You guys probably weren't talking about that as the walk to the river changes the scenario. What if someone did anybody get scared? Did you have to talk somebody off the ledge?
Yeah, well, I think being transparent,
Yeah.
when it's appropriate, can build trust and rapport and then confidence.
Hmm.
So there was, another guy on my river trip who told some of the guests, like, we're going to go scout, you guys are going to stay here, and then when we get back we're going to run it, and please don't ask us about the rapids and what's downstream, and we just need to go. And I
Hmm.
was like, and I told my boat, I was like, listen, I want you to know what we see.
Right.
That's going to inform you of what. I want to be as transparent as
Yeah, they
possible.
got to be prepared too. Yeah.
They got to be prepared. If we're going to hit this, you need to swim right, or you need to go left, and
Hmm. Hmm.
etc. And yeah, I think being transparent
Hmm. Hmm.
and being trustworthy, and so letting them know. And I think river guiding, I often tell my participants, like, I'm going to be direct with you. It doesn't mean I don't like you, but I
Right. Right.
sometimes I need to be like, hey, let that rope go, or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, like dig it
Yeah.
in. And but
Paddle.
that's right. Like our life depends on it.
That's right.
Yeah, just being as transparent, authentic as possible, sincere,
Hmm.
and letting them know that consequences are real on the
Hmm.
river, and like if we flip, what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so walking backwards from that scenario forward. And
And do you
but yeah,
find,
I mean, it's oh, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, do you find sometimes too, though, when you've done that, right? You've had to get on somebody or hustle them up or whatever, give them a kick in the butt. It's also seems valuable to then, not only talk to the group and say, okay, hey guys, now you see what I'm talking about. Now you can see the excitement. Sorry I had to yell at you, but blah, 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 blah. You might pull somebody aside and say, talk to them about the situation, just so they don't, get all bent out of shape.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the finesse in your interpersonal skills and how you communicate
Hmm. Hmm.
that that river guides, experienced river guides have.
Yeah.
Right? They might unconsciously have that skill, but a lot of people, you know how to communicate when things are getting serious,
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have consequence.
Hmm.
I can
True
go
of
for the
it.
mountains too,
I was going to say,
but
probably true of all guides, I would think. Yeah.
yeah, mountains a little different. I think if you're ski guiding, then it's more, serious, have avalanche
Well, and the
concern.
speed at which it happens too, right? If you're river guiding and ski guiding, the speed at which the activity is moving causes some of that. If you're just backpacking or doing something a little more relaxed, that speed component isn't there. You can't get in trouble as quickly as you can rafting or skiing or
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing with trekking trips is, letting people know that the hazard, like teaching
yeah.
them how to assess hazards,
Hmm.
right? And so it's really common in places like Nepal and in Peru and Tanzania, where people start hiking, right? And then they're
Hmm.
talking to their neighbor and they're not paying attention.
Hmm.
And letting them know that that's all good, but if you trip here and roll down there, like, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Right. And
Right.
so telling people stories, telling people stories of deaths, and
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
I say, I'm not telling you this to scare you, but to bring you into reality that
Yeah.
if you trip here, you're going to go down there, and
Hmm.
that's not good,
Right. Not good
and
for
so,
you, not good for me, not good for anybody.
right. And so putting on your serious voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
and knowing when to inflect from there to your joking voice or your nonchalant voice, or whatever different voices you have as a guide.
Yeah. 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 No, thanks for going through all that. I think it's important for folks to hear that. Not only guides that might be listening, but want to be guides and people that are going on trips. Because sometimes, you've had these situations where you get in a situation, you have to have a conversation with somebody, and they get all bent out of shape. And so it's good to put this out on the airways so people know we're just doing our job, right?
That's it, man. And when you start, people that want to do international trips, you have a cultural piece too.
Exactly. Right.
Like I had a guy show up in Kathmandu, and I was at the airport. I got him, and then brought everybody out to the van, and a whole group of people surrounded surrounded us and they're like asking for money. And so he
Oh,
gave one of the guys $40.
oof.
Right. And he thought the guy was with us. And so we had this little, this is just like a little cultural nuance that,
Right, right.
and it ultimately it goes back to having awareness
Hmm.
around your surroundings, what's going on, how you articulate hazards to your guests, whether it's front country or back country.
Hmm. Hmm. Things can happen anywhere. That's right. Well, someone with a master's degree in education, how do you blend teaching with guiding to make these adventures transformative rather than just checking it off the list?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's all about my self style, right?
Mm.
Every guide or person has their own signature style.
Hmm.
And so mine is very educational. I love to teach. I love to use a group to our strengths,
Hmm.
and to facilitate group dynamics. Like as an educator, that's a different piece of just guiding, right? A lot of
Right,
guides will say like, do as I say, not as I do. And they want to
right.
be like, but I like to empower folks and say, cool, like I mean, get like people aren't stupid, right? Like
Right.
a
Hmm.
lot of my guests have sold $1 million businesses and they're brilliant
Hmm.
human beings in a different world,
Right.
and they want to learn. Like people want to learn about themselves in different environments. They want to learn about in the environment. So
Hmm.
why not harness that and
Yeah.
foster that? That's some feedback that I get kind of regularly is like, wow, you really you finesse this to bring out more than just a guided trip,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then
Well,
bringing the local cultures in as well and facilitating that exchange is very important to me.
right. Probably makes it a richer trip too, right? They just didn't go down some river. They learned some things. They interacted with some other people. They're going to have a better experience that way.
That's exactly right. Yep. My little ethos is safety, fun, learning.
Mm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
we're going to be, safety is number one. We all want to have fun. If we're not having fun, we're not learning, and we all want to learn stuff.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
so, safety, fun, learning, and then open communication, self care, and organization. Those are kind of my
Love it.
six little keys.
You have tattoos for those six?
Dude, I've got lots of tattoos. I didn't used to have any tattoos a couple of years ago. But it's funny. I was working on a river, the Mahakali, on the border of India and Nepal, and one of my students she was covered in tattoos, and she was like, "Quig, will you ever get a tattoo?" I was like, "No way." And we got back to base, and we're all sitting around having beers, and a friend comes in. He's like, "Hey, I got my tattoo gun. You guys want tattoos?" We're like, "Yeah, I reckon we should probably get tattoos." 3 days later, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that's cool.
And
All
then back
right.
on the river, some of the dirtiest water on the planet. They're like, "Don't get your
Oh,
tattoo wet."
yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
So in 2015, you founded your own international travel company. What gap did you see in the industry that inspired you to launch that?
Right. So it wasn't really a gap. I mean, I was a
Mm.
novice.
Okay.
I partnered with some fellas, and yeah, I just kind of had an idea. I was like, hey, I see this. This makes sense to me in my head. Let's do it.
Hmm.
And to start the international piece of the business. So they were already incorporated in the
Oh,
USA.
okay. Uh-huh.
So I partnered with them and said, hey, let's run international trips. And they were like, all right, let's do it. And so we negotiated and we did it. And there was a lot of learning, right? Like I didn't know much about business at the time and made a bunch of mistakes and had some great successes. And yeah, we were running trips all over the world.
Hmm.
And
Cool.
then, yep. But this company was very much mass tourism, right? So it was
Mm.
like clients in, clients out, clients in, clients out. And we
Mm.
were taking people to the Himalayas and very magical places. And so my personal ethos is that if we're taking people from the USA to different countries around the world, it's our responsibility to do something positive with the local communities,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Like the
Yeah.
connection piece is invaluable.
I
So
connect them, educate them, all those things. Yeah. That way
absolutely.
everybody gets along in the world. We have a tendency to save all these other things rather than have wars and do all this other stuff.
That's right. And so in 2019, I partnered with a solar company
Hmm.
and we integrated solar into our international products. So, for example, we took a group to Nepal. We worked at a school for 4 days, integrated solar into the community, and then took the guests on a 13-day trek.
Cool.
And then subsequently, we did the same thing, raised $20,000, put some solar panels on Maasai School in East Africa, and then took the guests to climb Kilimanjaro. So it's this like adventure philanthropy
Hmm.
model. And I was like, okay, this feels right. This makes sense. Like it's not the mass tourism, blah, blah, blah. This feels like a little bit deeper.
Hmm.
We're connecting people from around the world and with adventure in addition. And so that satisfied my soul.
Hmm.
And I got back to Colorado in January 2020, ended up selling my shares of the company like 2 weeks before COVID, which was
Wow.
quite serendipitous.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. What's been the biggest lesson you've learned running your own adventure travel business compared to guiding for other organizations?
It's all about who and who you work with,
Hmm.
right? The people are everything. Like I'm a firm
Your
believer.
team? You mean who? Your team? That who?
That's right. The
Okay.
people that are on your business team, the people
Yep.
that you employ, the people
Hmm.
that you employ to do certain things, like that's everything. And
Hmm.
then having the trust, because and also going slow to go fast. Like when we started ours, it was just too fast, and the company almost folded multiple times. It was very irresponsible.
Hmm.
And so going slow to go fast, not rushing things, and then who you trust is the most important thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey friends, quick break here. If you're a destination marketing leader and your region is packed with amazing outdoor adventures, I want to hear from you. Let's get you on the Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle Podcast to share those stories with our audience. Hit me up at rick@ricksays.com and I'll send you all the deets. Let's inspire more folks to explore the wild side of your destination. But now, let's get back to the show. You've made cultural exchange a core part of your trips too. Can you share a story where a meaningful reaction or interaction between travelers and a local community had a lasting impact? Something that people still maybe write to you to this day. They talk
Oh
about, remember
yeah,
that? Yeah. It might happen a
yeah,
lot, I
they
bet. Yeah.
they all do. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
all. I mean, I've worked in Nepal since 2010, India since 2007, and I have long-lasting relationships with people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't stop in the office. Like I know these people's families, and I
Mm-hmm.
know their parents, and I've watched their kids grow up, and being able to offer opportunities for them where it's like, hey, why don't you have your kid come over to Colorado for a bit, and
Right.
vice versa. Like, I don't stay in hotels anymore. I stay with my
Yeah.
partners, my
Right.
friends around the world, and so
That's cool.
it's connection. It's all about connection and relation. And I think the more I think about that, it's what makes you know it makes the world go round, and we can really accomplish incredible things if we all work together,
Mm-hmm.
like an aspen grove, right? If we all have roots together,
Yep.
we're not going to be blown over.
Yep. You're right. Yep.
So yeah, but that happens all the time. Like and now with social media and technology, like it's just even more connected in
Mm-hmm.
some aspects, but also disconnected. We can go down that rabbit hole too, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Fortunately, I think social media, some of the good things it does is really provide that connection. It gets like everything else, gets overused and used wrong and stuff like that. But I think the main thing that it provides is connecting with friends and acquaintances and family and people you've worked with or been on adventures with all over the world is what's so beautiful about it,
wild,
right? It's amazing.
wild. I recently connected with this shaman that invited me to do ayahuasca with him, like deep in the Amazon. I was like, oh, Haita Omeda has a Facebook page, like
Right,
that's
right,
crazy. Like, how did he find me?
right, right. It's amazing. They're
And I
all
mean,
on
it's
Facebook. Yeah.
really strange. I mean, it'd be interesting to know how many people on the planet don't have social media or the
Yeah,
percentage, right?
true, right, true. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure
But
that
it's
number's
it's
out there. Yeah.
incredible that how you can just connect with all of these people that you even meet for a week somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. You go on a week trip, and next thing you know, you're lifelong friends, and you may not hear it from one another once a year, or if that, but it's always like old times when you connect with them. It's awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I love it.
It's
Yeah,
quite magical. Yeah. I
for
feel
sure.
very grateful for this like worldwide web of wild human beings that have created over the last 20 years.
I'm with you. I agree.
And we're all connected, like you and
That's right.
Stallone, and
That's right. Yeah,
like
yeah,
look at that, man. That's wild.
yeah. It's pretty cool. Pretty fun. Yeah. So you're also a humanitarian photographer. How does photography fit into your expeditions?
Yeah, well, it was a passion to begin with. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of, my friends and family are always like, "Oh, are you keeping a journal?"
Mm-hmm.
And I say yes, but it's through a camera lens. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't write, I take photographs and remember, and I'll write little excerpts on photographs when I'm publishing, certain things. And but it's really, I can look back from these photographs from years and remember these, certain people and
Right.
their situations, and even like, you know, reflecting back on myself
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago, like, God, I was like 25 and hanging out with this guy sitting on the street, smoking cigarettes, and just it's such a so it started as a passion,
Mm-hmm.
and a hobby. And so then it became more, it still is, but I started, people started getting interested in my photographs. And so I started getting hired
Oh,
by
wow. Cool.
NGOs to go,
Wow. Cool.
to India, Nepal, shoot photographs of, projects that are going down. And I think, I've been told, feedback I've received is that I'm gifted at capturing moments between people, and
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
and helping people, see or helping people feel
Mm-hmm.
through photographs, like,
Authentic
wow, I
moments.
can
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
empathize so much with this person's eyes, like
Mm-hmm.
the sorrow or the happiness or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that this innate human feeling or experience is being portrayed. It helps connect it.
No, totally. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a unique skill. Good for you. So you've worked with both nonprofits and commercial operators. How do you balance profitability with sustainability and responsibility to the communities? That's a tough one sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, my a part of my goal in the last 20 years is balance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you balance, finances with passion? Like,
Right.
well, still working on that. I think it really helps when you so I have a lot of fingers in, what is the expression? Fingers in the pot, fingers in the pie,
You got to have all the fingers in the pie
irons
when
in
you're
the
doing all these
fire.
different things because they all pay this, a teeny bit, but all together it's a great income.
That's
but you
right.
but you need all of them.
Irons in the fire.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, just piecemealing it together. And like, my father always told me, like, luck is where opportunity meets preparation.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
having that at the back of my mind also is quite helpful, because I by innately I'm entrepreneurial, right? I see something, I'm like, oh yeah, this can work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a
Where's
no-brainer,
that come from?
like,
Your family that way?
I don't know where it comes from.
Huh,
Great question.
interesting. Yeah.
And so lots of ideas,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Lots of really good ideas. And but again, it goes back to who, right? The who. Like, who is doing this? Who are we doing this with?
Yep.
Does that make sense first and foremost? So yeah, I mean, when it comes to balance of lifestyle and everything, like, I'm still I think having 20 years as a proverbial dirtbag, you know what you need and what you don't need.
That's right. That's right.
I lived in a tent for 12 years. I don't, I'm developing as a human. I just bought a new house here in Crested Butte.
Oh, big time. There you
Um,
go. Nice.
well, affordable housing unit, which is
Hey,
still amazing. Like, oh my
yeah,
God, it's
yeah. Better than a
crazy.
tent. Different than a
Yeah,
tent.
it's insanely amazing. And I live pretty frugally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I mean, that's kind of by habit, really.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say I have more stuff than I've ever had in my life, which I mean, if it's okay.
It's amazing how that happens. It just kind of happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get more space, you automatically gotta fill it with stuff and things, right?
Doesn't seem hard to fill. You're right. Yeah.
But it's nice I mean, I'm super
Good for you.
grateful.
That's cool. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
And but still, going back to, I've lived a lot of different places around the world, and the United States is very focused on capitalism and consuming. And so trying to not, stay out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, and Crested Butte's a little bubble too, really. It's
Hmm.
not,
Hmm.
San Francisco or anything, but
Yeah. Right.
and a lot of like-minded people here that love the mountains more than the stuff and things.
Hmm.
And so that's changing also, really, since COVID. Our dirt bags are getting kind of run out of town, and the money's coming in. And
Oh, wow.
but hey, we've got affordable housing for us dirt bags still.
You
So
can always
that's
go to Kernville.
I'd love to go to Kernville.
I don't think that's ever going to happen to Kernville. That's such a great little town.
That's an amazing
Yeah,
town.
it's like it's today. It's like it was when I left, and I've been gone. Gosh, many many years. But I got to go up and see
Incredible.
John. Yeah. So what's next for you? Got any dream expeditions you're working on, or big goals on the horizon?
Potentially, I'm in some conversations with some companies in the UK about partnerships, and my partner, she's running an outdoor ed company in California.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if I told you that, but and so
Where in
we have
California?
some. She's in San Diego. They're in
Okay.
SoCal.
Mhm.
But we're talking about how we can bring. I'm convinced that the United States and the world is ready and needs a cutting edge adventure travel leadership slash mindfulness organization
Hmm.
that reconnects humans with humanity. Right. I just led a trip in London with some Londonites, and I'm like pretty convinced these are the weakest humans that have ever been alive on the planet. And with this tech crisis,
We've all seen people like that though from everywhere.
true. But in 30 years' time, like, no humans are going to be able to grow food or hunt or build houses or have resiliency, right? And so
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
I see the human race going. And, I think there is tremendous opportunity
Hmm.
to create something that's rigorous,
Hmm.
difficult. It's not, the market right now is begging for these student trips, to be posh and comfortable and
Hmm. Hmm.
like almost like holidays.
Yeah. Very
Um,
sanitized. Yeah.
Very sanitized. Like big companies in the USA are like now, running affinity group courses that, aren't doing what they used to do. And so like, what does it mean to like take 12 students and sail from Baja down to Ecuador? And what can we learn from that? Right.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
putting together some big expeditions. So,
Hmm.
anyways,
Hmm.
I would love to work on that, to create something that's gonna like put some oomph back into being human and
Hmm.
some zest into being a human being and not this kind of like apathetic, I'm on my phone, like whatever, life is kind of blah blah blah. It's like, no,
Hmm.
let's ramp this back up. Let's go sail through the Mediterranean and learn what it means to be a good human being.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm in some conversations right now about potentially starting something like that, partnering with some organizations, and that I think I'm ready for that.
Hmm. That'd be a big
We
change. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have this little boutique company called the Karuna Project, which is strong. We've got 13 guests on our next trip to Nepal. That's in October. And the Karuna Project's all about leveraging travel to drive positive social exchange.
Okay.
And so we work in a community called Kakani, north of Kathmandu, and I've been working there for 15 years, but we are doing a project with the community that's all about plastic mitigation, upcycling, and so we partner with this company called Tamang, which our friend Sita, she trains the locals to recycle the plastic, and then she takes the plastic and makes toiletry bags and computer cases
Oh, wow.
and chalk bags and all types of little products, and then we sell those in Crested Butte.
Hmm.
And so we're creating this kind of circular economy where we send money back, and we're also really involved in our radio station. We have a community radio station in Crested Butte called KBUT.org, and we've donated a trip to the community, and they're a big supporter. And so some of the radio station staff are coming along, and we're
Cool. That's
thinking
a great
about
idea.
maybe creating a radio station in this village. If not for anything, it could be used for emergency
Right.
communication
Yeah. Right.
all
Right.
over,
Right.
because you can see Manaslu all the way to Everest from there, and the
Wow.
range is huge. It's on the ridge line, and
Hmm.
so that our trips kind of combine this humanitarian aspect than with adventure. So then we're off to the Everest region for a 15-day trek.
That's great. Good on you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
How do you spell Tamang?
Tamang.
Okay, simple. All right, cool.
So Tamang is actually, it's an ethnicity like Sherpa.
Mm-hmm.
Sherpa meaning East Nepal. Tamang means the horse riders. But they're from Tibetan. They're from like Tibetan region also, and so most of them live in East Nepal with Sherpa people.
Uh-huh.
But so this company is named after the people, Tamang people.
Love it. Very cool. That's awesome. So this might be one of the hardest questions I asked, these last two, but what about a favorite piece of gear you'd never travel without?
That's a tough question. Backcountry, front country travel.
Is there something different for each, or do you have something with you all the time? I just never, this always stays in my pack.
Different for each, but I think a great piece of underutilized gear is an umbrella.
That's
again, depending on where you are, I've worked in Alaska six or 7 years and always take an umbrella in rainy places, not so much in windy places but I think an umbrella is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. You could use that pretty much anywhere. And how about a piece of advice for listeners who dream of building their own outdoor business or guiding career?
I think there's a very fine line between being passionate about the outdoors and then having the competency of knowing how to run a business, right? So those are very different things. And that's a trap that in my last business, everybody started out as a guide. We're like, oh, we love guiding. We love the outdoors. Okay, let's try to run a business together. And very challenging.
Right.
Get the right people in place that understand business, that know how to run business. Get people that are actually business professionals. That can mean that's the make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a different skill set. Totally.
It's a completely different world. Then you're in front of a laptop for 12 hours a day.
Right.
I mean, it's, that's a little bit of a trap. There's this, it really seems romantic to own this business. Oh, we own a guiding company, blah, blah, blah. My partner, Nicole, she's a badass businesswoman. Like she's a CEO. She knows how to do finances. She knows everything. And she's also a good mountain guide. She was actually my first boss at Knowles in 2007.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
She's the whole package, but a lot of people aren't the whole package. So
it's rare.
Have some self-awareness around that.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say to our listeners as we wrap things up here?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Rick. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just encourage folks to keep thinking critically about your place in the world. If you're into the outdoors, think about why you're into the outdoors, and because it's a real catalyst for change.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, ricksays.com, where you'll find show notes and links to everything we talked about and more. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or spread the word and tell a friend. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week, and thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Adventure Lifestyle Podcast.